Okay.
Yes, you want translation, right? Okay. Oké, I understand. I am Dutch. Dus als ik Hollands ga praten, dan snapt helemaal niemand er meer iets van. Dus I understand.
Dice que entiende un poco la situación.
A different language, but you have to do it.
Que hay unas barreras del lenguaje.
I mean, you can stay in Spanish and in Spain and Latin America very well, but this new paradigm that we are talking about, Internet of Things, the circular economy, all these intelligent products, it's basically 90% English. So if you don't get it, then you will be left out. Cisco will come in, IBM will come in, all the big American over-the-top players will come in. You will live in Google land forever. And it's your fault.
Dice que tiene que empezar a practicar un poco del inglés porque el Internet de las cosas habla básicamente todo en inglés y los elementos de comunicación son en inglés y entonces pues les recomienda esta parte, ¿no?
So I was very happy to listen to the previous presentation because I think I will tie in very, very easily. So we're hearing about real time, about intelligent objects, about sustainability, and the last communication from the MacArthur Foundation is basically tying in intelligent objects with the circular economy. Okay, so I got a basically quite short presentation. So I was asked to think about what does Internet of Things mean for graphic design. Now, I'm very honored to be here with my friend Edwin. I'm from literature, so basically I'm not a designer, and so there'll be a lot of things that may not resonate immediately, but let's try.
Él va a hacer su presentación del Internet de las Cosas. Él no es un diseñador, él más bien trabaja en la literatura. Está aquí porque lo invitamos, pero va a tratar de... él va a hablar con respecto a lo que él piensa de Internet de las Cosas y el diseño.
So what is Internet of Things?
¿Qué es Internet de las Cosas?
It's a very long story. Basically,
una gran historia larga.
Internet of Things is not new.
No es nuevo.
It has a strong history for like maybe hundreds of years, but definitely for about 50 years. We don't want to go there.
Desde 15 años.
We just look at what's it now.
Lo que es ahora el Internet de las Cosas.
So, Internet of Things, in an operational definition, is linking up 4 networks. The body area network, where you have all your wearables.
La definición del Internet de las Cosas se basa en 4 áreas básicamente. En el body area de cuerpos, digamos un área de cuerpos.
The local area network, where basically is the smart home, and that's what we hear a lot about security in the home, connectivity in the home, smart lamps, smart lighting, smart refrigerators, smart coffee machines, smart toothbrushes, we have them all.
Las redes locales que están haciendo o permitiendo que haya objetos inteligentes como son los refrigeradores, casas inteligentes y otro tipo de elementos personales.
And then there is the wide area network, and these are all the technical terms. The engineers get this, you can talk to them. And that's about mobility. So that's where we have telematics, as it's called, but we have also connected cars, self-driving cars, basically all the talk that there is about smart mobility.
Vienen después las redes que son amplias o largas, que tienen que ver con conectividad, como por ejemplo carros, telemetría y asuntos más de la ciudad, por así decirlo.
And then we have the very wide area network, which basically is the smart city. And that is one of the key prizes of the entire debate. And the whole point of Internet of Things for companies, but also for institutions, is to have a part in all the 4 networks.
La siguiente es la muy amplia red de Internet, en donde ya se conecta a lo que le llaman las ciudades inteligentes, y es donde las compañías y los gobiernos están haciendo cosas para desarrollar esto.
Now, this new paradigm that we hear about is a very strange one. This is about making every object on the planet digitally addressable. Every object, every t-shirt, every piece of paper, everything will be tagged, will be digitally addressable somehow. There will be QR codes, barcodes, radio frequency identification chips, which are also in your passports right now, near-field communication, two-way RFID, and all these things will make every object addressable.
Bueno, ese trabajo que está haciendo entre estas 4 redes está generando que todos los objetos se puedan conectar unos con otros por medio de los códigos QR, los códigos de barras, por medio de los chips de radiofrecuencia, RFIDs, y se hace que se conecten unos con otros y se obtenga cualquier tipo de información.
And then we have the cheapest ecology of hardware, software, database storage, and analytics combined. It was never ever cheaper to do anything with hardware or software than at this very moment. And this means that with the new internet protocol, which is IP version 6, that in anything that will have a little bit of software, there will be an IP address. So this means that we have these two drivers: one, logistics, identifying every object, and on the other hand, trying to make other things into readers, reading out the position of the object, every property that it will give you, that it will sort of give you.
Eso se está, digamos, se está generando que, más bien, esta interconectividad entre los objetos se está generando por los bajos costos que están teniendo cada una de estas tecnologías, y que permiten que por un lado se lea todo tipo de información y por el otro lado se esté generando más información y estén comunicando.
And so the way that I state it now, you will say, no, I don't want it. Well, I'm sorry, it's here. So there is basically no way around this. We've built a world in which there is hardly an escape from this. I'll come to that. Now, we got to have a kind of positive vision about this. So, for example, what we heard in the previous presentation, 50% of all the food is wasted globally, 50%. 30% of all the water in London is going down the drain.
Okay.
So we have massive interest in terms of climate change, to monitor all these objects and to try to get them in a more efficient system. That's what we would like to do, but we have to do it carefully.
Bueno, dice que se me fue el ruido. La manera en que se está haciendo, podemos decir, yo no quiero esto, yo no quiero que se sepa toda mi información, pero ya no hay vuelta atrás. Está esto ya aquí de alguna u otra manera. Se relaciona un poco con la presentación que se hizo la vez pasada, o esta presentación anterior, en donde pues, se habla de los desperdicios y comenta un poco del agua que se desperdicia en Londres y bueno, la situación de la sustentabilidad.
Yes, so basically what we are talking about is the new power, is the new politics, is the new democracy. So if you think back to the 4 networks and you look at what Google is doing, and I've got nothing against Google, but so just look at what they are doing. Google, they have a glass and a lens for the body space. So, and they are partnering with people making smart t-shirts. So all the data coming from my Google Glass will be in the Google database space, in the Google Web, in the Google Cloud.
Dice que toda esa parte de la comunicación vista desde el gobierno, desde la política, desde las empresas, está haciendo que se integren entre estas 4 redes, el LAN, WAN, etcétera, en donde toda la información se está yendo precisamente al espacio, este espacio que es como lo usa Google, que en donde, bueno, estoy hablando del ciberespacio, en donde Google lo utiliza todo lo que obtenemos, desde los lentes a los Google Glass hasta otros elementos.
So that's this LAN space, this wearable space. They had a power meter, it did not work, so they bought Nest, a company that made a smart thermostat, for $3 billion. Why would they want to buy a thermostat? Because when I go home, I will sync my data seamlessly into the Nest, so now the home knows how I feel. All these data go to the Google Cloud. They have a car, they build a car, they are working on a car for about 15 years. They're in 3 out of 5 automotive associations. They are also in YouTube and Gmail, they own that. So you will never ever be able to buy or have or lease or rent a car that does not have Google in it. It will always be in the car. It will either be the car, it will be in a software or in a media system of the car, but it will always be in the car. And this is what these products are doing. These products are gateways linking up the networks.
Google está generando productos como el auto de Google, en donde precisamente está generando toda la información y la está recopilando, está utilizándola precisamente para hacer sus bases de datos. Y bueno, esa es la manera en que está aprovechando para hacer conocimiento, generar conocimiento y desarrollar algunos productos.
So basically, and this is what we also see in Europe and a lot in China and all of these places, this Internet of Things is something that you have to confront because it's the biggest trend, as they say, and however much I can be against it or however much I can feel the hype, we have to go with this realistic assessment of that situation, which is you cannot lose it. So basically, if you link up all these networks, you are the new power. There is no more democracy as we know it. This basically is the new power structure. So from a public perspective, I think what we need to try to do is to make sure that these gateways remain in public hands, that the infrastructure remains in public hands, so that this Internet of Things can become a public system. If we don't do that, it will be the same as gated communities. All the beautiful connectivity, all the wonderful seamless activities will only be there for those who are able to afford them.
Sí, eso está pasando en China, está pasando en otros lugares, entonces no tenemos que pelear contra esto, con el contrario, nada más no dejar que de la vía pública o digamos los entes públicos sean los que tengan el control de esta información. Si dejamos que solamente las empresas tengan esta información, la recolecten, entonces vamos a de alguna manera no tener problemas, pero deja de ser la parte bonita de la interconectividad, sino que deberíamos de mantener que la situación pública sea la que maneje control y no podemos luchar contra esta parte.
So maybe monitoring every object on the planet, creating this huge light, as it were, sort of really lighting up the world, putting everything in the light, this radical transparency, this can actually lead to something maybe good or bad, or we're beyond those terms, I don't know, but they could lead to something. But for that, we need at least, well, we try to get as much as people to look at the data coming from all these systems. At the moment, this monitoring system is in place, but it's just a few people looking at all the data, making the scenarios together with the algorithms that do the analytics, offering us the scenarios, which we heard that there was something that you as graphic designers were able to offer, which is exactly what I'm sort of coming to. So we've got corruption everywhere. When I was talking to my friends about RFID in banknotes in Indonesia, they liked it. They say, okay, let's put RFID in banknotes and we can, right? That's good. That's a good thing to do. We've got climate change and we've got all this waste in our food and production systems. So maybe we can make a case, but we can only make that case if we do it together, because if we don't do it with a lot of people, then it means that this is happening as we speak, but this transparency at the moment is only there for a few companies and a few governments. It should be there for citizens and it should be there for all of us. So we've got to make sure that that's going to happen.
Él menciona que todo este manejo de la información se está haciendo ahorita solamente por algunas empresas y esta información debería de ser para todos, porque 3 o 4 compañías están teniendo la información y no nos están permitiendo hacer cosas como evitar la corrupción. Platicaba con unos amigos suyos de Malasia, en donde les comentaba que todo este tipo de cuestiones que pudieran ayudar a combatir la corrupción se pudiera hacer con elementos RFID, que son chips de radiofrecuencia, y entonces podrían detectar y saber y controlar a dónde va, por ejemplo, el dinero. Entonces dijeron, pues sí, adelante, vamos a hacerlo. Y hay que tratar de mantener que esto no se haga solamente por algunas empresas, sino por diferentes entes públicos.
So basically, there's 5 key roles for graphic design at the moment, I think. One is, there's business as usual. There will always be cards, there will always be print, the web's not taking out books, so that's all going to stay. But then I think there are 2 key roles that you can take, and this is what we are doing the workshop about. One is about product design, and the other is about service design. So products are going to need communication capabilities, not only technical, but also from the skill set of a graphic designer from the beginning. So the graphic designer should be in the brainstorming phase of the new products, because the new products always will talk to other products. They will talk to people, to users, but they do not communicate only to users. They will always also communicate to other products. So that is something that is at the moment not in. What you see is product designers designing products, but not with the capabilities of thinking about that these products are going to be part of a family of products. And this is why we get very bad usability, very bad user experience of all these smart products at the moment.
Menciona que debe haber 5 elementos principales cuando estamos hablando del diseño gráfico. En estos 5 elementos se destacan el diseño de productos y el diseño de servicios, en donde dice que hacia esta parte normalmente no se hace así, pues están generándose familias de productos que al no tomarse en cuenta ese tipo de situaciones de conectividad o al usuario, entonces van a generar básicamente que se pierda lo que es la usabilidad, o no tienen muy buena usabilidad y también tienen muy mala experiencia de usuario o generan muy mala experiencia de usuario.
The same goes for service design, which is designing services. In this Internet of Things world, basically product design is moving to service design. It's all about services. Also because the business model is changing from ownership to leasing. In this Internet of Things, where you will buy a smart product that's relatively sort of expensive, you won't buy it, you will lease it. Now, as you will lease it, you enter a relationship with a company that is doing sort of the leasing. So it means that basically this whole shift will be less from ownership of things towards leasing, And then we have the whole sharing sharing of cars that's happening massively across the world, sharing of tools, all kinds of platforms that people are building to share things on. So this role, it does not really mean that you have to change your skill set, but you have to take it to like a 4D world. It doesn't really mean that you will have to do very different things, but you have to learn to live in a 4D world where everything is connected to everything.
En la parte del diseño de servicios tienen que empezar a visualizar, sobre todo en la parte de Internet de las cosas, que ya los productos no se están comprando, sino más bien se están haciendo renta, más bien el tipo el leasing, en donde uno paga una parte, y para que los productos bajen de precio, bajen el costo y se puedan ser más asequibles y se pueda estar actualizando de alguna manera.
So basically, it's very simple. So there's nothing really complex about all of this. It basically always is a simple hit to a database. That's what Internet of Things is a sensor measuring a few properties and then sending that to a database, sending back a scenario. Is not rocket science, but it is because we as people are so predictable. If you follow me 1 day, 2 days, you will know me. You can basically predict my 3rd day. And all the machines that we build them to be predictable. So this is why it's so easy to make this work at this moment. But that's the key. So we are very analog people. We talk to each other and we think, I talk to you. But in this world, I'm never ever talking to you alone anymore. I'm always talking to other devices. My devices may talk to your devices, and they are sharing a world that we don't know about. In the home, or in my home, the smart lamp, the smart refrigerator, the smart television, they're all doing things that we are totally unaware of. So we have to make that very, very visible. And I think one of your jobs could make this world visible. At the moment, there's a lot of things going on behind behind sort of all this connectivity, and it also feels a bit mysterious, and it also is made to be very complex, but it's not complex at all.
El Internet de las cosas es muy simple porque lo que toma más que nada son datos de sensores. Estos sensores dan información que se sube a bases de datos. Las bases de datos los procesan y esos resultados de esa información nos dan pues la información que utilizan las empresas para la mercadotecnia. Dice que todas las personas somos muy predecibles, que si lo siguieran 2 días, 3 días, al 4.º día o después podrían saber qué es lo que hace en base a cada uno de estos datos, de esta información. El Internet de las cosas es muy, muy grande. Estamos en estos inmersos y digamos que los resultados están dándose por los refrigeradores inteligentes, por teléfonos inteligentes, por todos esos aparatos que lo que hacen es precisamente registrar información, subir la base de datos y compartirla con precisamente empresas.
So graphic design will also become a little bit more like experience design because it has to communicate intent, creating a coherent style and atmosphere in a 4D world where everything is communicating in real time. And it's not there yet. It's all very chunky. So whoever actually gets to design the communication of like a family of objects or traveling between these networks from a wearable to the home, to the car, to the city, that's all not yet there. And nobody is really thinking about it. So that's I think where graphic design can make a huge difference now. And this is going to be a very profitable one because this is the new paradigm or the new world. It's work here.
Dice que el diseño gráfico ya no debe ser nada más diseñador gráfico, sino debe convertirse en otro tipo de diseñador en donde precisamente ya se involucra en la parte del diseño del producto, en la interactividad o comunicación que va a tener el producto y pues eso va a redituar en beneficios porque eso es lo que está actualmente en boga, lo que es la tecnología y el mundo.
So another role, apart from being very deep into product design and very deep into service design, is what we see happening in the smart city debate. Basically, there are no smart cities at the moment. It's a lot of hype, a lot of talk, and everybody wants to be smart. But what we need is real good debate. So a designer as someone who creates the debate around all of this and who brings together the stakeholders, citizens, city councils, industry. I'm doing this role in a European project at the moment, and we are just beginning to take on this role. But we have to ask not, we want a smart city, but basically we have to ask what kind of connectivity do we want and what kind of connectivity do we need. So this will come out at the end of the month. I'm working on this now. This is our Smart City Coordinator Toolkit, and it asks things like, am I secure? Am I relevant? Am I compliant? Am I leading? Am I alone? And in this kit, I put 3 years of my last work that I did in 2 cities in Europe, setting up a lot of meetups, doing a lot of co-creation workshops with citizens, trying to get them involved into these smart city, so-called smart city applications. So this is also a role for you. This can be a role.
Dentro de las claves que se estaba mencionando se dice que el diseñador tiene que preguntarse la parte de qué es la ciudad inteligente y qué tanto la gente quiere realmente una ciudad inteligente, involucrando a los ciudadanos, a parte del gobierno, a parte de los empresarios, a todos esos elementos y visualizar precisamente para hacer este esquema en donde de verdad nos interesa una ciudad inteligente, en realidad la necesitamos. Y qué tanta conectividad vamos a tener entre estos productos y entre estos objetos y entre todo lo que está generando esta revolución.
So being part of product design, being part of service design, this stakeholder coordination role, there's work and money in there. But there's another role that's very important. It's not a good business model, I think, but that's to organize protest. Somebody has to organize protest. Somebody has to organize opposition towards all this tech push. Now, as I said, I believe that there is a radical transparency in there, that I'm for that, but it's not going to be there without protest. People have to protest this. They have to say, what are all these engineers trying to do with our life at the moment? So in the workshop, I asked people to bring their favorite object. And when people describe their favorite object, it's very rich. It's a very rich set of connotations and affordances. But this Internet of Things, these sensors, they are just measuring 5-6 things. A sensor measures temperature, vibration, frequency, It's all important, but that's all it does. We cannot allow to have our world, a world of living things and living people, being turned into a kind of prison in which only a few parameters are going to determine the scenarios that we build. So now, the scenarios that we get for this world are fully based on efficiency, optimizing, like all these beautiful, good terms, and I like them to a certain extent, but there's more to life than efficiency and optimizing all these things. So we must thank the engineers for bringing all this up, but now we need other people to start running the show.
Una de las últimas claves es la parte de las protestas, en donde no todos tenemos que estar de acuerdo en esta interconectividad, no todos tenemos que decir, bueno, pues ya está, ni modo, sino que siempre debe haber la parte de la protesta, en donde se busca que precisamente estén en contra de todo esto para equilibrar la situación. Habla de que en un workshop que se está llevando ahorita a cabo, se pidió a los participantes trajeran una foto o trajeran a su objeto favorito. Este objeto favorito forma parte de un ecosistema propio en donde la información de alguna manera puede ser censada. Se puede censar ahí temperatura o algún dónde lo compraron, etcétera, por medio de los códigos de barras, por medio de los QRs, pero qué tanto queremos que se pueda conectar va a depender precisamente de los que protesten. No podemos dejar que simplemente los ingenieros diseñen un mundo bonito. Él le llama así, que los ingenieros diseñen un mundo muy eficiente, muy eficaz, sino que también debe haber la otra parte en donde se debe presentarse la ineficacia o la ineficiencia.
Yes, so again, both are important, but now the one is taking like 90% of all our future capabilities to predict scenarios, and that's not good. So we should bring the engineers back to, let's say, 40%, and the other 60%, that should be other types of intelligences and other people, other type of people skills. Now this is, so actually I believe that here lies a lot of opportunity because there will be a lot of people who want to disconnect from all this tech. So if you can design for like a new analog world, if you can design for a world for, let's say, no connectivity or other type of connectivity, if you can think about designing for alternatives, I think maybe in 3 to 4, 5 years, you will be the hit. You really will be, because so many people will start to want to disconnect and get really feel bad about all the situation. They want to move to a new type of communication, and they want to get away from all these screens and all this totally smartphone sort of things. So if you think about that now, actually you may set a new paradigm in a few years.
Nos dice que los ingenieros procuran hacerlos, o más bien el 90% de las situaciones que vivimos están construidas por ingenieros en donde todo el escenario es perfecto, todo nos debe de salir bien, no está previsto, sí está previsto la falla, pero que no está buscándose en que algo pueda fallar o que podamos vivir con esa falla. Entonces, en la medida en que los diseñadores puedan entrar a la parte esta de la protesta, en donde estén en contra de que todo sea eficaz, todo sea eficiente, podrían tener un éxito mayor, puesto que en 3 o 4 o 5 años podría empezar a desarrollarse, o ya está desarrollando esta parte de donde la gente quiere estar desconectada o quiere ya no estar tan en comunicación, o que sus productos estén comunicándose con las empresas o con algo por el estilo.
So we all know that the future is not really about jobs. So the future is really about making your own work and making your own. But it's going to be very difficult to have like a full job, right? All the studies are very tough on work, and it's going to take out the new study from the World Economic Forum. Basically says you need mathematical skills. I don't believe that. I think you just need to hire a good always work with a good programmer in your team. Always get a hacker on board. Befriend a hacker. Then you're fine. But the second part is it's only going to be about interpersonal skills. So this is coming from the World Economic Forum, the last report. So they say basically, what we have to teach is not so much content and is not so much all these skills, of course, but basically interpersonal skills. That's what's going to get you. That's what's going to bring you a livelihood in the coming 10, 20 years. you have to be able to relate to different, a wide variety of people. Now, I always thought that was true, but now the World Economic Forum is saying that, so I think you have to take it seriously.
El diseñador debe tener, digamos, entre sus habilidades, una de ellas se supone que la comunidad, bueno, el Foro Económico de Europa dice que la primera debe ser en matemáticas. Él no lo cree así, que las matemáticas podrían ustedes, en lugar de ser muy matemáticos, buscar a un hacker. Dice y recomienda que se hagan amigos de un hacker, que tengan siempre un amigo hacker. Y la segunda que habla es acerca de las relaciones interpersonales, en donde dice que esto va a dar futuro a más de 20 productos de más de 20 años, o sea, duración de 20 años o una actualidad de 20 años, porque las relaciones interpersonales va a ayudar precisamente al desarrollo de esta interconectividad y no conectividad.
So I'm very happy that finally people are taking on this crazy notion of innovation, which is simply coming out of Silicon Valley, San Francisco for the past 20 years. And we all have to innovate, 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 and it's just a bubble, it's a fiction. So people are now saying, actually, the focus is on maintenance. There is a lot more work in maintenance. There's a lot more that we need to do in maintenance, and this innovation is basically a subset of what we basically all need to do. And for me, it was very important, because I see a lot of young people in Europe, also China, just getting into this fiction of starting up, startup, and then you get all these things, and that's not really what it's about. So basically, try to get away from this idea of innovation, always thinking of something new, and try to go more towards the maintenance aspect.
El siguiente paso que debemos de hacer es no estar pensando tanto en la innovación, sino más bien en mantener las cosas, un poco pensando en la sustentabilidad, porque dice países como en China que están queriendo hacer tanta innovación y quieren hacer los famosos startups, hacer muchas iniciativas, pero que no lo están llevando a nada, más bien hacer cosas que se mantengan con el tiempo y que tengan una durabilidad mayor.
So basically, I think that the role of graphic designer and the skills of the graphic designer communicating coherently among a subset of objects and things is going to be key. But you need to be found. Sort of in this Internet of Things world, you need to create a story for yourself, saying, I'm the communication specialist between and for your objects and your services. You need me, because otherwise you will not be able to create a coherent family of objects that will actually be really talking to people. That's what people want. So again, it's really not new. It's not about changing what you do, but it's trying to create a kind of story for yourself in which all this Internet of Things, all this connectivity, all these smart products is basically a lot of hype, and it's not so new and not so complex, that you find a way in there. So this is about basically also setting yourself up as a consultant in Internet of Things communication, for example. And you can do it now, because you don't need anything else than what you have now already. So this whole industry is lacking these skills, and they know it because they're not selling well, and they will know it when they sell better. That's the story for them, of course. But I mean, so there's a lot of work, I think, that you can already do by basically simply creating the story that you'll be able to do it, because nobody else can do it. Okay, thank you.
Bueno, lo último es que dice que el diseño gráfico puede involucrarse muy bien con el Internet de las cosas, porque tiene que ver con la comunicación entre objetos, básicamente, la comunicación entre objetos con personas, y esto pues no tienen que cambiar la forma en que hacen las cosas, simplemente entender que esta comunicación se puede dar y que no necesitan recursos ni conocimientos muy avanzados, simplemente entender que la comunicación entre estos se va a dar, y si se da de una forma adecuada, pues van a tener mucho éxito. Y, pues, ya.